It was a long time ago, but I remember it vividly, as though it happened yesterday. Back then, I was young and filled with the arrogance of my species, a species that considered itself superior to all others. We had conquered dozens of worlds, harnessed technologies that other civilizations could only dream of, and stood unchallenged as masters of the galaxy. When the order came to survey Earth, we thought it would be no different. A primitive planet, mostly abandoned, its human inhabitants scattered and broken from a war they couldn't possibly have won. Our team arrived in silence, our sleek ships cutting through Earth's atmosphere without a sound. The world was eerily quiet. Cities that must have once been bustling were now overgrown with vines, nature reclaiming what humanity had lost. I remember looking out across the ruins, the remnants of towering skyscrapers that seemed to stretch endlessly toward the sky. There was no resistance, no sign of life. It seemed too easy, and that was our first mistake. As we began our sweep of the area, I noticed subtle details that didn't sit right. The streets were littered with debris, but it wasn't random. There was a pattern to it, as if someone had carefully arranged the rubble to obscure certain pathways. Some areas seemed to have been recently disturbed, footprints visible in the dust, yet no life forms registered on our scanners. One of my teammates dismissed it as wildlife. Another joked about humans being too primitive to pose a threat. That's when we found it, the first warning. A single bullet casing, lying in the middle of a long-forgotten street. At first, we didn't understand its significance. To us, it was just a relic, a meaningless artifact from a dead civilization. But then we saw the writing etched into a nearby wall. The message was crude, carved with what must have been a blade. "Keep your distance." Our leader laughed at the audacity of it, mocking the humans' feeble attempt at intimidation. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. Every shadow seemed to stretch a little too far, every gust of wind carried an unspoken warning. The others dismissed my unease as nerves, but I could feel it, an unseen presence, patient and calculating. We continued deeper into the city, and that's when the traps started. The first was subtle, almost imperceptible, a seemingly innocuous pile of debris that, when disturbed, triggered a controlled collapse of a nearby structure. It was precise, targeting one of our drones and crushing it instantly. The second was more direct, a laser tripwire hidden among the overgrowth, detonating an explosive device that sent one of my teammates flying. Panic began to set in. We weren't used to being hunted. Our technology was supposed to make us invincible, yet it was failing us here. Every step forward felt like stepping into a carefully laid snare. Whoever had set these traps knew exactly how to counter our methods, exploiting weaknesses we didn't even realize we had. And then, we felt it, the unmistakable sensation of being watched. It wasn't paranoia. It was real, and it was deliberate. The silence was shattered by a single, deafening shot. One moment, my teammate was standing beside me, scanning the area with their device. The next, they crumpled to the ground, their armor pierced by a single projectile that shouldn't have been able to penetrate it. Our shields were state-of-the-art, capable of deflecting energy blasts and projectiles from every species we'd encountered. Yet, somehow, this one bullet found its mark. Panic rippled through the team. We scattered, seeking cover among the ruins, but the vastness of the empty city suddenly felt like a trap in itself. Every alleyway and shattered window became a potential vantage point for this unseen attacker. My heart raced as I scanned my surroundings, but there was nothing. No heat signatures, no movement, nothing to indicate where the shot had come from. Another shot rang out, and another team member fell. This one hit mid-step, the precision of the strike almost surgical. It was clear now that this wasn't random. Whoever was out there was hunting us, one by one. And they were good. Too good. We tried to regroup, activating our drones and deploying our scanning devices. The air buzzed with data as our systems worked to locate the source of the attack, but every attempt was met with failure. Whoever this sniper was, they were either using technology far beyond our understanding or had mastered the art of invisibility. Then came the first sign of their intent, a deliberate act of psychological warfare. A piece of reflective glass was placed in the middle of the street, angled to catch the light and draw our attention. As one of my teammates approached it cautiously, a shot rang out, narrowly missing them but hitting their scanner, rendering it useless. The message was clear: we weren't in control here. Tensions escalated as the sniper began to manipulate us. Every movement we made seemed anticipated. Paths we thought were safe were suddenly cut off by well-placed obstacles. Even our attempts at retreat were thwarted, as if the city itself had turned against us. It was as though the sniper wasn't just attacking us physically but dismantling our morale piece by piece. We tried to reason through it. How could a single human, if it even was a human, hold us at bay? We were equipped with the best weapons, the best armor, the best technology. Yet, none of it seemed to matter. This wasn't a war of brute force. It was a game of strategy, and we were hopelessly outmatched. One of my teammates, out of desperation, attempted to use a high-frequency pulse to flush the sniper out of hiding. The pulse echoed through the ruins, disrupting the air and scattering debris. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a shot rang out, striking the device and causing it to overload. The resulting explosion left us scrambling, deafened and disoriented. That's when I realized this sniper wasn't just skilled, they were toying with us. Every move they made was calculated to sow chaos and fear. And it was working. By the time night began to fall, our team was reduced to a group of terrified individuals, jumping at every shadow, every sound. The hunter had become the hunted, and for the first time, I truly understood what it meant to be powerless. Desperation forced us into action. Our leader, still clinging to the belief that superior numbers and firepower could win the day, ordered a full offensive. We spread out, covering as much ground as possible, deploying every advanced tactic and resource at our disposal. It was a bold plan, meant to flush the sniper from their hiding place and overwhelm them with sheer force. But the sniper anticipated everything. As we advanced, one of our flanking units triggered a series of explosives buried beneath the rubble. The blast wasn't random, it was precise, cutting off their retreat and forcing them toward an alley where another trap awaited. It wasn't just that the sniper was skilled, it was as if they understood us, knew how we would react to every situation. I found myself separated from the group, forced into a shadowed corner of the city. That's when I saw it, a small, makeshift shelter hidden among the ruins. At first glance, it was nothing remarkable, just a crude assemblage of debris providing cover from the elements. But as I drew closer, I realized it was more than that. Inside, I found relics of a life once lived, a battered photograph of a family, their faces worn but still smiling, a journal filled with handwritten notes and diagrams, and a series of crude maps of the city, meticulously marked with potential vantage points and chokeholds. This wasn't just the shelter of a soldier, it was the refuge of someone who had been fighting for years, someone who had turned survival into an art form. As I scanned the area, I noticed something else. Written in my own language, carved into a piece of stone, was a single sentence: "Leave now or there will be no mercy." The message sent chills through me. It wasn't just a threat, it was a warning, one that spoke to a deep, unrelenting resolve. I could feel the weight of the sniper's presence even more strongly now. This wasn't an ordinary human. This was someone who had been shaped by loss, honed by war, and driven by a purpose I couldn't fully understand. Their actions weren't just about survival, they were about sending a message to anyone who dared underestimate them. As I rejoined the remnants of my team, the realization began to sink in. This sniper wasn't merely defending their territory, they were waging a personal war. Every step we took deeper into the city wasn't just a mistake, it was a violation of their home, their memories, their pain. The leader of our team refused to retreat. He called for another coordinated strike, this time targeting the sniper's likely position based on the traps we'd encountered. But as we moved into formation, the sniper struck again, taking out our communications relay with a single perfectly placed shot. It was then that I understood the truth. We weren't dealing with a soldier. We were dealing with a ghost, a shadow of humanity's past, fighting not for glory or conquest but to remind the galaxy of what humanity was capable of. And for the first time, I questioned whether we had any right to be here at all. We were down to 3. The city, once a maze of potential escape routes, now felt like a prison. Every step we took was calculated, every shadow a threat. The sniper had turned this place into their battlefield, and we were the intruders. Our leader, desperate to salvage the mission, devised a final plan. It was reckless, but it was all we had left: bait the sniper into revealing their position, then unleash everything we had. The bait was simple. One of us would step into the open, drawing their attention, while the others prepared to triangulate the shot and retaliate. It was a plan born of desperation, and I doubted its success. But with no other options, we moved into position. The moment came quickly. As one of my remaining teammates stepped out, the shot rang out. It was impossibly fast, striking them clean through their shield and armor, dropping them instantly. But it was enough. Our scanners picked up the trajectory, pinpointing the sniper's location. The leader gave the order, and we unleashed everything: plasma blasts, drones, high-yield explosives, all targeted at the ruined building where the sniper was hiding. The structure collapsed in on itself, a cloud of dust and debris rising into the air. For a brief moment, there was silence. Relief began to wash over me, the thought that maybe, just maybe, we had won. But then I saw it. Through the haze, a figure emerged. They moved with a deliberate calm, unshaken by the destruction around them. The sniper was dressed in battered patchwork gear, their face obscured by a helmet that bore the scars of countless battles. They carried a rifle unlike anything I'd seen before, simple, yet deadly in its precision. Before I could react, they raised the weapon and fired. The leader, standing beside me, dropped without a sound. I froze, unable to move, unable to think. The sniper turned to me, their weapon lowered, and for the first time, I felt their gaze. It wasn't hatred or anger, it was something far more chilling. It was the gaze of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. But they didn't shoot. Instead, they gestured toward the edge of the city, a silent command for me to leave. I didn't hesitate. I ran, stumbling through the ruins, my mind racing with everything I'd seen. When I reached the safety of our ship, I looked back at the city one last time. The sniper was gone, vanished into the shadows like a ghost. As the engines roared to life and we left Earth's atmosphere, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just witnessed something extraordinary. They could have killed me, but they didn't. They spared me, not out of mercy, but to send a message: humanity is not to be underestimated. As I recount this now, I still feel the weight of their warning, etched into my mind as clearly as the words they carved into stone. Pray you never meet one.